Before we get started, I'm going to say some things in this video that will probably upset some of you. I want you to think about a couple things when this happens. One, that's natural. You know, the world is a big place. We're going to have some different opinions, some differing takes. And two, I'm not some racist asshole. I mean, it is what it is. I'm just not. If you want to think I am, up to you. But I'm just telling you right now, I believe all people should be treated equally. I believe that representation in terms of film, while it shouldn't be mandated in my opinion, is something that just should naturally happen. We should have characters from all different races, ethnicities, genders, sexual orientations, all of that to reflect the real world. That's just my opinion. I don't think that those things should be forced down anyone's throat. I don't think that they should be headlined as a big seller, because I think that that's generally tokenization. And I think that this situation is being handled absolutely pitifully. We're going to hop into this here real quick, but I wanted to get those things out of the way, and I'm sure some people will still think the opposite, but hey man, good for you. There will be plenty of dumb people to debate then in the comments. I'm just kidding. Here's the thing, though, going forward. Superman is changing in the DC extended universe, sort of, kind of, Here's the thing. There's a lot of differing reports on what's going on with the new Superman movie. Now, I have some very strong feelings on it, which I'm going to share with you. I think it's stupid because they did announce a while back that Ta-Nehisi Coates, who I believe his ideology is dangerous, boils everyone down to just racial categories or sexual categories and doesn't actually look at them as individuals, as individual people with individual ideologies and differing economic classes and statuses, etc., etc. I believe that his ideology is dangerous. I believe that he is essentially, to me, it would be the same hiring him to write this movie, which they are reportedly doing, as it would to me be to hire someone like Richard Spencer to write about a white Superman. It's just not a decision I'd make. It is a very controversial figure who has based a lot of their prominence and wealth, in my opinion, off of race and race relations, and that's it. Given handle of a Superman movie, of a story. Now, it was reported that he would be writing this story for the new Superman film, which reportedly will star around a version of Kal-El who is black. Now, first off, it is worth getting out of the way. I don't hate black people. Literally nothing against them. In fact, I hope that what I say will come off quite the opposite, because I have a few things to say in support of those communities with this decision. There has been a black Superman in the past who was also technically Kal-El. That was Calvin Ellis. He worked out of the White House. He was technically also the president on an alternate Earth. Some of you might remember him early on from Final Crisis. He also appeared in the New 52 comics later on. So this is not unprecedented in terms of it never happening. However, I believe that the more renowned one that a lot of people know is actually Val-Zod. He was on a different Earth than that. He was actually a survivor of Krypton along with Kal-El, but he wasn't Kal-El. He was Val-Zod. He did later on, though, become a different version of Superman on his planet. So there have been black Superman characters. There have been other Superman, and I hate this term because it sounds racist to me, but apparently it's not, of color, such as Kong Kenan, who was obviously from China. That was the new Superman from the New 52. This is not unprecedented in terms of there being a Superman who is not white. Don't really care about that at all. However, I do think that it's very interesting, the timing on all of this, and I'm going to kind of lay some things out for you and let you decide what you think. First off, a lot of this news was actually dropped on Henry Cavill's birthday, which is really weird. Henry Cavill, I think, was a good Superman. I think that they could have done a lot more with him. I think they showed in Justice League, the Snyder Cut, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, that there was more potential for this character. I really liked him. I understand that I'm in the minority with loving Man of Steel. I get that I'm in the minority with enjoying BVS, and I understand that I was in the minority, apparently, with still being on board with restoring the Snyderverse, although I'm starting to wonder if I wasn't, because a lot of people want that. Regardless, I think that this was poor timing. To release a lot of these press releases right on his birthday, that seems kind of douchey to me, first off. Now, I'm not saying you owe the man anything or that this is an attack on his whiteness or anything like that stupid, because I don't really believe in breaking people down to just the color of their skin. When I was growing up, we called that racism. I know now it's not. I know that almost a mental segregation ideology is encouraged by a lot of people on both political spectrums, on the right and the left, but just for different people. And there's a lot of using people to get goals. And I'm not a fan of that. I really think that that's where this stems from. Now, if we look at a few things real quick, I'm going to hit some actual news. I don't know what you'd say. I guess big things that happened in the last couple of years that I think pushed this forward. I think that this is based on a tokenization of black culture. Now, am I black? No, I'm not. So I understand that to some people immediately that means I don't get an opinion or my opinion doesn't matter or I should stay in my lane. I've always thought fuck off to people who think that. You get to have an opinion on white Spider-Man. You get to have an opinion on white Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern or Hal Jordan or white Superman or whatever you want. I do not give a crap. I don't care. You're not a racist for having an opinion on someone who looks different than you. But I always thought that with this, right, going into this idea, it sounded odd, the timing of when this came up because of some things that happened in the last few years. So when Black Panther came out, it almost seemed like there was a ripple in Hollywood that people were surprised that a movie about a black person could make money. I'm not sure why they thought that. There were already really renowned movies, even movies that Chadwick Boseman was in, where it did very well. So I'm not really sure why the thought was that a black superhero couldn't do numbers, especially considering the cult icon status of Static Shock in the DC animated universe, which, by the way, please bring that back. It was amazing. But the timing was odd. Like I said, when Black Panther came out, it was almost like there was a ripple like, oh my gosh, non-white characters sell. What is this? It's like there was already a subtle racism there to me for a lot of people, both audience and the production companies. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying there was almost this ideology of like, if the character's not white, it won't sell. Always thought that was stupid. Miles Morales shows that's not the case as well. But it's interesting to me when this is coming up, because let's look at the timing. Black Panther did well. Then later on, we had the, I guess, bombshell, spoiler alert here for Avengers Endgame, that Sam was being picked as the rightful successor to Steve Rogers. Now, at the time of that, I was unsure about it just because of how the character was written to that point. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea because we hadn't seen a ton of Sam yet. He hadn't gotten a ton of, I guess, development in terms of the MCU, and it was a little bit like he was an unproven character. And when that happened, I was unsure if they were picking him because he was a good replacement or just because it worked in the comics as a bit of a publicity stunt, and that's it. Now, going forward, obviously we did have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I truly believe that it expanded on these characters a lot. I believe it's a very interesting representation of what a lot of black people in America feel like or have had issues with in terms of relations to other people, in terms of people looking at them differently, or in terms of feeling like they look at them differently, and feeling like they don't fit. You know, I thought that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier did a really good job with that. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, yes, it did touch on race quite a bit, but it was about the fact that a black Captain America isn't a black Captain America. It's Captain America. You know what I mean? There was no... Sam doesn't want to be black Captain America. He doesn't want to be Black Falcon. He wanted to be Falcon. He wanted to be Captain America. He didn't want people to look at him and look at the color of his skin and identify him as that immediately, because that is a type of racism or bigotry or stereotyping or whatever you want to call it. And my issue with how this is being presented is that this is already just being pushed as Black Superman. That's it. That's the headline for every article. That is the press release main idea for all of this stuff. Like every time that something has been reported on it, it's been about Black Captain America. It's never been about Captain America. And let's look at the timing. I'm just going to say these things. If you like this video, please let me know, because I'm sure a lot of people will be angry at me. In the last couple of years, we've had the deaths of a lot of people in the real world, like Breonna Taylor, like George Floyd. There's been a lot of stuff happening in the last couple of years that has been a big, big problem in terms of our society, in terms of how things are viewed, in terms of how people feel. This was an explosion of anger and sadness and resentment and feeling disenfranchised because a lot of people felt unsafe now. A lot of people, it hit this peak feeling of, if the police cannot keep us safe in real life, who can? We are told to trust this system. The system doesn't care about us. That is how a lot of these communities have been feeling for the past couple of years. Now, am I a member of those communities? No, I'm just some white guy in the suburbs. Like, I get it. The irony is not lost on me that I don't feel those specific things. That's not the point. I don't think that you have to be those specific things to see the world, to see what's going on. I don't think you have to be those specific things to know distinctions, to know that a white family growing up homeless is obviously going to have a very different, upbringing than the Obama family as well in the White House, with those kids growing up in basically royalty. You don't need to be those things. But I do think it's very sus, I guess you'd say, the timing on this, that after the trial and after all the anger and the sadness, that the push is Black Superman on Henry Cavill's birthday. To me, the way that this is being handled so far, Ta-Nehisi Coates, again, to me, essentially almost a Richard Spencer-like figure, just on the opposite end of the spectrum. And again, Henry Cavill's birthday, announcing this after the trial, announcing this after all the anger and sadness and resentment and the political divide and discourse in this country, it comes off as tokenization of people groups to make a quick buck. This does not come off to me as progressive. This does not come off to me as enlightened or interesting. This comes off as hiring a controversial race relations figure to write a story entirely about race, slap the Superman logo on it, and make money off of communities of color. That's it. That's what this comes off to me. And I would say this is, at best, at absolute best, misguided. And at worst, steeped in the idea of making money off of people who feel sad right now, who feel bad, who have had a rough year, and who don't feel listened to. Now, if you think that those things aren't true, right? You think that there's zero racism in America anymore. You think that all of those people are 100% listened to and all that. I get it too. I am someone who, not to get too political or into my own ideology here, just to tell you, I believe that there are still problems with it, but I believe that the United States has made insanely good strides in the last 50 years to move away from it. Desegregation. Obviously before that, way before that, the abolition of slavery. Obviously after desegregation, we've had things like the most recent rally cries for justice. This is a country, our country, America, is trying. Am I saying it's perfect? No way in hell. Am I saying that it can't improve? Nope, not at all. I think that people who say things like, if you don't like our country, just leave, I think that's misguided as well. But I do think that there is an attempt, both at the core of the government of this country and in the people of this country, to fix things, to make people feel like they're all just American, to eliminate these divides and to make people feel the same but different. That was supposed to be the point. I know they don't use the term anymore. They don't use melting pot, but that was kind of the idea, was that at your core, everyone was American. Are there differences? Asian American, African American, European American, Latin American? Yes, there are those differences, and you can retain those elements of the culture from where you originally came from. This is a country that is not of native people. We all came from somewhere, except for the Native Americans, who technically also came from the Fertile Crescent, way back, but they were here before everyone else. Anyways, regardless, that was sort of the idea, was that at your core, everyone's American. The idea of Superman is not Black Superman. It's not white Superman. It's not Chinese Superman. It's Superman. The idea of Captain America was not white or black Captain America. It's Captain America. I think that focusing on these things after all of these controversial passings and just a hard couple of years for pretty much everybody, but especially certain groups, is so tone deaf and ridiculous and pathetic. Again, I think it's at best misguided and at worst borderline racist, trying to weaponize the wallets of people who feel unwanted right now to make a quick buck. You can say absolutely that they are not unwanted. I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying that is how a lot of people feel. And to me, this comes off as exploiting those tragedies to make money off of those communities. I hate it. It irritates me. It's disingenuous. I'm sure I'm further onto the no work with list with WB now after calling this out. But hey, you know what? I've been on there for a while, I'm sure. So who cares? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you think I'm racist and an awful person, or if you agree. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on that. I'm really tired of the headlines being about the differences with people. You know, I think that what we should be focusing on is more of the same, what makes us similar, what brings us together. I'm very, very, very tired of everything being about what should divide us and make us different and split us apart. It's exhausting, it's unnecessary, and frankly, I believe it's un-American. I will close this by just saying one thing, which is from a friend of mine, Evan Falarka. He talked about this on Twitter, which I agree with him. And he said this is the equivalent of recasting Tom Holland as Peter Parker instead of simply making a Miles Morales film. And I truly agree with that. There are characters you can make movies with here, especially someone like Val Zod. Why not? You know? Why not do that? Could a Calvin Ellis movie work? Yeah. Do I even know if they're going to make Calvin Ellis? No, not at all. We just know Kal-El. But it all comes off as disingenuous and douchey timing to me at the very best. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this. Dislike it if you dislike it. As always, engagement helps my channel either way. Have some discussions. Don't be a dick. You know, I'm interested to see what you guys have to say to each other as well. That always does fascinate me. Have a fantastic day. And as always, stay shway.